Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss about the concept of cyclone and anticyclone. So before we proceed, let's see what are the topic that we are going to discuss here. First of all, we'll see the meaning and definition of cyclone. Then we'll see different types of cyclone. This classification is based on latitude. Then we'll see names of different cyclone in different part of the world and formation and effect of cyclones. Then lastly we'll discuss the difference between cyclone and anticyclone, right? So first of all, we'll start with the first topic, that is meaning and definition of cyclone. Now what are cyclones? Now cyclones are the large scale air mass rotating around the extreme low pressure areas or regions, right? So there is a low pressure in the center, so the air will move from the high pressure to the low pressure center, right? So if there is a huge pressure difference, then cyclones are generally developed. So cyclone moves anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. So this is the rotatory motions of cyclone. If it is in the northern, if it has developed in the northern hemisphere, it will move anti-clockwise, and if it is in the southern hemisphere, it will move clockwise direction. Now the center of the cyclone is also known as eye of a cyclone. So this region is a region where calm weather prevails, right? So now we'll see the types of cyclone, which is classified based on its latitude. There are two types: tropical cyclone and temperate cyclone. Now the tropical cyclone develops in the tropics, that is above 10° to 35° north and south latitude, whereas temperate cyclone develops within 60 to 65° north and south latitudes. These cyclone plays a very important role in changing the weather pattern throughout the world. Now let us discuss one by one about these two cyclones, starting with tropical cyclone. Now the tropical cyclone mostly develops over the sea in the tropics. Secondly, a tropical cyclone is represented by concentric circles of isobar with low pressure center. So when you see in a weather map, you will see a concentric circle, okay, with low pressure center in the middle. Now the pressure gradient is very steep and the isobars are very close to each other, okay. Now in case of tropical cyclone, the pressure gradient is very steep, okay, the graph shows very steep, and the isobars are very closely packed. Fourthly, tropical cyclones are small in size. Wind speed is more than 100 km per hour. It can extend up to 500 km per hour in some cases. Now these cyclones are associated with heavy rainfall and mostly occurs in summer. It travels from east to west direction. Now let us see the different names of tropical cyclone in different part of the world, okay. Like in China it is known as typhoon. In USA, in the Mississippi basin, it is known as tornadoes. Cyclone in India, hurricanes in the Caribbean Sea, and lastly willy willies in Australia. So these are the different names given to the tropical cyclone in different part of the world: typhoon, tornado, cyclone, hurricanes, willy willies in Australia, etc. Now let us discuss the next topic, that is formation of cyclone. Now basically we'll be discussing how tropical cyclones are formed here. Now tropical cyclone basically develops over the water bodies near the equator. So here the warm moist air that is over the ocean surface rises upward direction, that is near the surface, due to which a cyclone is developed or cyclone is formed. So when the air rises upward and away from the ocean surface, it creates an area of low pressure just below that, and it causes the air of the surrounding areas with high pressure, that surrounding areas will be having high pressure, so that this air from the high pressure area moves towards the low pressure region, which further lead to the warming of the air and causes it to rise above in further height. So as this moist and warm air rises and cools, the water in the air forms cloud. The complete system of cloud and wind spin and grow along with the ocean heat and water evaporating from the ocean surface. As this wind system rotates with increasing speed, an eye gets formed in the middle of a cyclone, right? So the center of a cyclone is very calm and clear with very low air pressure. So around 70 to 90 cyclonic wind system develops all over the world or globe annually. So in a year, 70 to 90% of cyclones develops throughout the world. Here, Coriolis force plays an important role. Okay, this helps the wind to move in a spiral direction, in a spiral movement around the low pressure areas. So, as the presence of Coriolis force is negligible or less in the equatorial belt between 5 degree north and 5 degree south latitude, so here cyclonic wind system do not develop, right? So, as I already told you in the previous slide, that above 5 degree, right, up to 35 degree, in this region tropical cyclone basically develops. So hope you have understood the topic, the formation of tropical cyclone. So we'll move on to the next topic, that is about temperate cyclone, where it is formed and what are its characteristics, etc. So temperate cyclones, which is also known as extratropical cyclones, these are formed in the temperate belt due to the formation of front. So basically it develops within 60 degree to 65 degree north and south of the equator, right? Now let us see the characteristics of tropical temperate cyclone. First of all, this cyclone, a temperate cyclone, is frontal origin. They are formed due to the formation of fronts. Now fronts means when warm air mass and cold air mass meets, the boundary zone or the transitional zone between the warm air mass and cold air mass is known as front. So in these areas, in the transitional zone, a cyclone develops. This cyclone is termed as temperate cyclone. Now this cyclone occupies thousands of square kilometer area, means the diameter of the cyclone is quite extensive compared to the tropical cyclone. Speed of the wind is very less compared to tropical cyclone. It is only 30 to 60 km per hour, and it travels from west to the east direction. Now in case of temperate cyclone, rainfall continues for many days and mostly during the winter season. But in case of tropical cyclone, it generally rainfall occurs during the summer season. So these are the main characteristics of temperate cyclone. So now let us discuss the effects of cyclone or the consequences of cyclone, whether it is temperate or tropical cyclone. So first of all, cyclone leads torrential rainfall, which ultimately causes flood. So whenever a cyclone take place, it will cause heavy rainfall, which ultimately result into flood in some areas. It will also damage to life and properties. Obviously flood take places, it will uproot the trees, houses, etc. It will also reshape the lands along the coastal areas. It will blow up the sand dunes, okay, and coastal area, the landscape of the coastal areas will also be affected by cyclone. Apart from this, it will damage to the natural vegetations as well as the wild animals living in that forest. So these are the important effect of cyclones. And lastly, cyclone also brings fair weather after the retreat of the cyclone. When cyclone overs, after that there will be a fair weather. So these are the effect of cyclones. Now let us discuss the next topic, that is anticyclone. Now these cyclones are known as anticyclone as many of its properties are opposite to cyclone, right? Such type of cyclone develops in around the high pressure regions, right? In case of cyclone, it has low pressure center. In case of anticyclone, it has high pressure center. So throughout the globe, so wherever there is a high pressure belt, in these areas anticyclone develops. It results into a fair or clear weather. Now let us discuss the characteristics of anticyclone. Anticyclones has high pressure center, as I already discussed. In the middle, it has high pressure, extreme high pressure. Air moves from outside, air moves from center to the outward direction. Now they usually appear elliptical and isobars are widely spaced. So anticyclone basically the shape of the anticyclone is elliptical and isobars are widely spaced. It rotates clockwise in the northern hemisphere and anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere, just opposite to cyclone. Now the next characteristics of anticyclone is the pressure gradient of anticyclone is very gentle, and due to which the speed of the wind is also very low, as you can see in this diagram how the pressure gradient looks like. Now lastly, they affect large area of many thousand square kilometer, means this anticyclone is spread over a large area. This weather condition prevails for thousands of square kilometer area. So these were the important characteristics of anticyclone. So this all characteristics will help us to differentiate between cyclone and anticyclone, so which we'll be discussing in the next slide. So let us discuss the difference between cyclone and anticyclone. So cyclone versus anticyclone. Starting with cyclone. So as I already mentioned in the earlier topic, that cyclone is a low pressure system with surrounded by high pressure. Okay, in the center it is a low pressure, so which is surrounded by high pressure, whereas anticyclone is a high pressure system. That means in the center there is a high pressure which is surrounded by low pressure, right? Secondly, it blows anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere. That is, cyclone blows anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere, whereas anticyclone blows clockwise in the northern hemisphere. Like in the next case, cyclone blows clockwise in the southern hemisphere, and in case of anticyclone it blows or it moves clockwise in the it should be anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. And cyclone is associated with cloudy sky, heavy rainfall with stormy wind, and in case of anticyclone it is associated with clear sky, mild wind and dry condition. Now cyclone can cause great damage to life and properties if precautions are not taken in advance. In case of anticyclone, the weather is settled and pleasant. So whenever there is an anticyclone, there will be a fair weather or a settled weather in case of anticyclone. So this were the difference between anticyclone and cyclone. Hope you have understood the difference between cyclone and anticyclone. These are variable winds and their formations and what are their effects on the surface of the earth, right? Now in the next video we'll be discussing about the pressure belt system. Till then, stay tuned.